Oh, blimey. Grandma, would you mind giving this your once over, an honest opinion? I'll give it a simple text header mentioning Theresa Hurst. Cheers, Mark. I like that. I've just seen something that someone's just sent me. Really do like that. I'll come back to you in about 2 minutes. So, Mark Busby, well done that, man, for sending that through. I really like that. I'm hoping you're listening. Right, let's just have a quick look and see where we're at. Because I'm going to have to put some other stuff over here. And I think I'm likely going to have to put it over this side. Because it's already going pear-shaped over there. And YouTube. Let's see. Hello. Can I just get a big hello and everyone hearing me? Let me nut that one off. Bring that one down. Let's see what it says. Bang. There we go. There you go. There it is. Right. So I've got to show you this, just in case you don't. Just in case you don't think I'll wear them. Look at that. Look at that. I love my country, but I hate any British government. And then on the back, it's got that. And if anyone didn't see it, I'll show you the one that I am pressing at the moment on my chair. There you go. Hang on a minute. I'll show you this one. There it is. What do you think of that? Can everyone see that? And then to the back, just have a look at this one. Hopefully you can all see that. Do you like it? Hang on, make sure I'm getting this right. I can't see through my t-shirt. Hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4. There, what do you think? You tell me what you think of that. Do you think that is a wonderful t-shirt? And there it goes, back over on the rack, as it were. Oh, blimey. Best I get my mic in front of me, because no one's going to be able to hear me. What do you think of this t-shirt? I'm having a little look. Don't forget to spike that up, and I've got some really good news for everyone. In another 10 minutes, I'll be ringing Dave, and you'll all understand exactly what the conversation is going to be about. I'm going to explain a few things to people before we kick off for this, and that is that Dave was unlawfully arrested last year, and he was covering with an English media group journalist, and he is also registered as a journalist as well, the illegal immigration in Dover. There was a number of individuals there, and I can tell you now, a number of them was unlawfully arrested, brutalised by the police, who weren't just local police, they'd been brought in from all over the country. There was discrimination because there was another group regarding themselves as British and pro-immigration just up the road. There was about 200 of them, and they was left alone. In fact, they had 3 police officers standing there in normal clothing, right? The 200 or so that were protesting and petitioning, which is really important, to highlight the cry and hue of the British establishment not abiding by the laws of England, and actively encouraging people to come across the channel in dinghies. That technically to us is an invasion of our shores, and there were people there that was highlighting that. Dave was arrested, unlawfully arrested, I may add. Today, from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 p.m. at Chatham, in the Medway towns, he had a 8-hour trial. 2 magistrates listened to the evidence of a number of police officers. I can tell you now, the police officers have put themselves in a doodah by describing Dave as far right and suggesting that they was there to police a far right group of people, and then making all sorts of accusations, etc., against the protesters and petitioners when they were lawfully going about their duty as a citizen, which I'm going to show you. And again, in 5 minutes' time or 10 minutes' time, I'll be ringing Dave and he'll sort of let you know what happened. But I will tell you this at the end of the presentation. He actually, the court case, he started off by reading out the case statement and his statement of defence, largely written by myself and one other, which is the late John Hurst. We both worked on this case. And I can tell you at the end of that case, he got a not guilty, which obviously elated Dave and his wife, who recently had a very serious problem with her heart, and Dave just happened to break one of her ribs giving her CPR. So they tell us, right? So, no, only joking, she did. She had a heart attack and she stopped breathing, and he gave her CPR and brought her back. So, well done, Dave. Not only are you an English patriot, you also saved your beloved's life. So you need a big applause for that, because it takes a lot of bottle when someone's not breathing, and especially when you're emotionally attached to them, to be giving them CPR and then mouth to mouth without getting carried away, obviously. I mean, I could make some other comments, Dave. Like, you'd go for anything, even without a pulse. Sorry. No, listen, we're only joking because she's alive and kicking, and she was in court today, which is a fantastic thing. So again, I am really pleased that they got the result that they should have got anyway. So everyone out there, just to let you know, after an 8-hour trial, he got a not guilty. 2 magistrates unanimously stated, and by the way, I think there's a bit of a conversation we'll have about this, but they took some legal advice, and I'll be sharing some of what was put to them, and they come back and said not guilty. So there you go. They threw everything at him in that trial. They included, I mean, bearing in mind he was representing himself, so it was by his defence was by case stated, which means it was a written defence he's put in there, and he said that's what I rely on for my defence, etc., etc., and that's what they listened to in court. And I won't be going through all of it, but I will be going through part of it today, because I think it's really important that you all have to understand what went on there. But before I do, I'm going to show you one other thing, and then after that, after the chat with Dave and Tracy, and you all should know Tracy because she's probably in the chat as we speak, you'll see loads of bits and pieces in there. So again, get everyone on this, because we will be. So don't forget to like and share this. It's really important to like and share massively. You wouldn't believe how much. And don't forget, I've been told to read this out to you, and I want everyone to understand. We are going this Saturday, Hyde Park Corner, and we are meeting, and we need at least 10 of us to turn up, because we're going to be holding the English flags up, and we've got banners. Now the problem is we may be walking a little way. I don't know what we're going to be doing as yet, because I'm going to leave that side of it. Brett is the organiser of this, not me, right? And I will say that, but I'm going to be up there videoing, etc., and probably be up there saying hello, and I will be wearing my T-shirt, which I'm going to show you again in a couple of secs. Hyde Park Corner, opposite Green Park, Bomber Command Memorial, 12 noon. So any English constitutionalists, patriots, and those who believe in English independence for our freedoms back, because this is a freedom rally, yeah, people need to understand exactly what we're talking about. So again, I'm going to show that T-shirt in a couple of seconds before I ring Dave. But before I do that, I'm going to show I'm going to show you something else. I do apologise. Done my throat in there. Now, my old mucker has gone for, he wants me to give him, Graham, would you mind giving your once over and honest opinion, and I'll give it a simple text header mentioning Theresa Hurst. Cheers, Mark. Right. Let me have a look at this. Now, everybody should have been sent today an email from Robin saying that we're going to be standing in Batley and Spen. So we need as much assistance as possible there. And obviously, they're going to try and raise money for leaflets, to pay for the leaflets, to pay for the deposit, and to get as many bodies out there helping us out up there. So what I'm going to do now is show you, I'm hoping I can show you this. I'll put myself as a little person down in the corner. And this is, it looks like what our friend is bringing up there. Hopefully you can see that. So that basically shows the constituency of Batley and Spen, and it says vote English Democrats, blah, 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 and we need as much help as possible. Everyone who is registered with the English Democrats, I know, should have got an email today asking for assistance in the area. Now, there is another one, again, I spoke about that last night. The Freedom Alliance are standing there, so if there's anyone who wants to give them assistance, please do. Like I say, this show is not, I repeat, not just about the English Democrats. That's not what I'm about. I'm about England, and I'm about talking about the English Constitution, and the freedoms that English gave us all, right? And just again, I'm going to show this, go back to my original screen. So if everyone wants to give a thumbs up to that, if you like that as some sort of poster, just an area description, if we can do it online so everyone knows where it is that we're talking about. What I'm going to do now is go back to there, put that back up again, and I'm going to show you, again, these T-shirts. Right, I've only got a few of these. Oh, I better put it back over to the main screen, huh? So again, so for those of you who haven't seen this, I'm wearing one now. I love my country, but I hate any British government, and there it is. It is the British government. It doesn't matter what party you vote for, you still get a British government, and they're the people that have took all of our freedoms and liberties away, and we're the ones who've got to take it back again, right? So vote England, vote English. There it is. Let me see if I can get it up any higher for you. Vote England, vote English. There's the little poster on the back. So again, to the lovely lady that made that and designed that, I think that's fantastic. I think it looks fantastic on T-shirts. And there it is again. I love my country, but I hate any British government. So I'm just asking you what you think of that. What am I going to do? 2 seconds you're on there. Don't forget to send this out because it's really important. And really important that people understand that our constitutional rights and our constitution do work. Right, so what I'm going to do now before I actually ring Dave, because I'm such a... come on. Right, that's come up on my screen. What I'm going to do now is bring the other one up. I'm going to put this up on the screen so everyone can see it. And there's lots of constitutional items on here. What I don't want to do is show too much personal information. So I'm hoping no personal information is going to be on there. But I will be showing this to people on the screen. And then we're going to go through the details of it. But I won't go any further into the case. We don't need to. All you need to know is that Dave won and got found not guilty. So, with no further ado, I'm going to drink my coffee and slurp it. No, I'm not going to slurp it. I'll try not to slurp. With the molasses in it, or whatever you want to describe it as. Let me see if I can now jump onto this. and we'll go from there. Let's see if I can ring the fella. There he is. Right, and I'm going to put it on speaker. Hopefully you're going to be able to hear this. I'm going to put him on there. Hello.
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 Hello, it's me.
Hello, Graham. All right.
Hello. I just want to make sure everyone can hear us. Can you hear Dave and Tracy in the background of this call? Just give us a shout if you can. Say 5x5 if you can hear him. Hang on a minute, let's see.
The Constitution is the solution.
Oh, look. Yeah, I like these two. Yeah, where do you two come from? So, you got a bit of an education today anyway. I know it was a bit stressful. How did you give us a... Do you want me to read out on the screen the first part of your statement? And then, obviously, you'll understand what I'm reading out, but the audience doesn't. And I'm just going to see if you want to... if we can read that out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, hold up. Well, that's what I'm going to do. So on your screens now, what you should see in front of you is the first part of the case statement for Dave in court today. So in other words, this full statement signed by him was put in as his defence statement for court. And this is what was put to the magistrates, right? So one of the things it says is this. Well, actually, I'm going to read this part out. The issue before the court involves a human rights abuse of David Goldsmith, which is evidenced by the British police attacking those that stand for English law, English constitutional rights, and the Englishman's right to raise the English standard or flag and defend and highlight the realm of England is being invaded. In brackets, that's called a call and hue. And obviously the next element to that is what we're describing is illegal immigration, which has been encouraged by the British state, right? The law, whilst the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was constructed and agreed via the Transatlantic Treaty in 1947, the British were not a signatory to it. Therefore, the law, British judiciary, sees it as persuasive rather than law. However, two international covenants are the law as ratified and signed by the British. The first one is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. This is really important, right? The second is the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. Yes, just think about the English and what's happening to us and just think about that. The first was adopted and opened for signature, ratification and accession by General Assembly resolution, blah, 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 by the British, entered into force on the 23rd of March 1976, in accordance with Article 49. The second entered into force on the 3rd of January 1976, in accordance with Article 27. The preamble of this is, and now this is, you need to really listen to what I'm saying to you, realising that the individual having duties to other individuals and to the community to which he belongs, think about that, is under a responsibility to strive for the promotion and observance of the rights recognised in the present covenant. And that means, because within this covenant is a respect for the constitutional rights of any nation. And we have, as England has shown you, not only do we have a constitution, we have constitutional statutory rights. And this international document states that the English should be standing up for it, and you should be showing people what your rights are. Now, the next element to this is agree upon the following articles, ICCPR. Article 17. No one shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful interference with his privacy, family, including your wife, home or correspondence, nor to unlawful attacks on his honour and reputation. And that means if you are in any way standing up for England or the English Constitution and you are described as far right or extreme far right by anybody, that is a human rights abuse that the English should be standing up and screaming from the housetops, right? 2, everyone has the right to the protection of law against such interference or attacks. In other words, the law should be protecting you, and international law does protect you against the interference of a police state and police officers hitting you with batons just because you're standing up for your rights and your freedom. And it is England and this international covenant that gave you that right. So there it is. Article 1. This is the important one as well. It's in conjunction with 17. Article 1. All peoples have the right of self-determination. By virtue of that right, they are freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. I hope everyone out there listening to this understands what political status means. What you decide, if you want to join the English Democrats or the Freedom Alliance or anyone else that stands up for England, if you are then vilified by the state, that is a human rights abuse, right? And freely pursue their economic, social and cultural development. And 3, the state's parties present to the present covenant, meaning the British have signed up to this, including those having responsibility for administration of a non-self-governing country. England is non-self-governing because we do not have an English Parliament. It is centrally managed by the Westminster Parliament, which is British, not English. Shall promote the realisation of the right of self-determination and shall respect that right. That means they shall not beat you with batons because you stand up for your country and the rights of your English women and men. That means they have not got the right to taser you, to steam into you, to dress in riot gear, because you hold the English flag in your hand. They consider you, as British police, to be far right. That is a human rights abuse. Get used to it, people, because you're going to be using this again, coupled with your constitutional, statutory common law rights. Now, over to Dave. Tell us what happened, son.
Yeah, effectively, nice introduction, by the way. It was the prosecution opened up their case and was painting a picture of doom and gloom. They did mention prior to the case being heard that this was not about the protest. I've already circulated the case statement with the international treaties and of course the common law components within that statement. So they've already had a look at that, and to be honest, Graham, he looked a little bit worried. Yeah. So they opened up and they painted the picture. The prosecution witness was the police officer who arrested me, came on via video link. I did protest that because they should, in fact, give evidence in chief. Yeah. But they seem to make a decision on their own based on an agreement that they had that I didn't have visibility to. So I asked where the visibility is for that agreement, but of course that nothing transpired. So it comes online, and I bear in mind that the statements from the police officers were never given to me. So you've got to bear in mind that I've come into court. I'm a layman, yeah. I mean, I'm not familiar with law and what have you. And effectively, they thrust this statement in me a few minutes prior to the case going forward. So I had to digest really what the prosecution witnesses were mentioning in their witness statements, and then and then obviously as we move forward. What really sort of got me, I'm just going to refer. Give me 1 second, Graham. Hang on. I should be a bit more organised, but as per usual, I'm not. Just bear with me a sec, mate. I just want to read to you what PC Thompson said. Right, he says, approximately 1,200 hours, me and my PCSE were deployed to Dover Marina following information that a group of right-wing protesters were blocking the road. So already this has come down from from the top, or the top commanders, that this is a far right-wing demo.
Right.
So
let me just say to people out there at the moment, prior to the demo, let's call it a petition, but a demo's fine, right?
Yeah.
Prior to that, the police commissioner and the chief constable of Kent were both sent via email, a notification of the demo or petition, and stating that you have the right under English law to petition about this situation, and that is what you're doing. So you have given them notice that you are going to be there, you are petitioning, and that you are standing up for your constitutional rights by doing so, and they have then labelled you as far right.
Yes, that's correct. Absolutely. So furthermore to that, in his witness statement, he alleged that I willfully obstructed the duty of a police constable, the execution of a police constable with Nobby's arrest. That wasn't true, because excuse me, it's quite hard to obstruct a police officer if he's already dragged Nobby behind the police line. So how can I obstruct? It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
So again, that kind of was throwing up red flags, or and giving us plus points in our defence. He also said that because I stated that there was obviously that clearly this is going to be an unlawful arrest, but that's further down the line. But in the meantime, what happened in terms of my brutal arrest, it was over the top. They said they used reasonable force when they're wearing their level 2 riot gear, etc. And they said that I resisted arrest. Now, that's quite strange, really. Well, there were 4 police officers on the floor. One of them put their knee into my back, and I was apparently resisting arrest. So you can imagine these big lads, 200 pounds each.
And one had your head on the floor.
And one had my head on the floor. So clearly I'm resisting arrest. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a blatant lie. It's to make out that I'm some sort of thug, effectively, that needs to be taken down. The police also had video evidence of myself at the event, and some video footage as well. Now, they showed some pictures, first of all, from other police officers, which was it was just a picture of myself. I think Tracy was at one of them as well, just being at the event. And then there was a video of the event itself, and including the takedown. Now, it's clearly from that video evidence that the police submitted, there's no way you can see a willful obstruction of a police officer.
Most of the evidence that they showed on the video footage was of Nobby, to be honest. And the only part that they had with Dave is that he was walking alongside Nobby at one point, and then when they had him on the floor, which proved that he wasn't fighting or was resisting arrest.
No, I agree.
And then also they then said that they'd lost our footage, our video footage that he gave them on the last court case, the court day.
Yeah.
So they thought they got one up on us that way because we didn't have any evidence then. But I had the footage on my phone. So then I had to send it over so they could all watch it.
But there was a bit of a hoo-ha about that as well, because they were saying, well, it's your responsibility to bring the evidence in. I said, well, excuse me. When I was at the Maidstone court on the 18th of January with John Hurst, rest his soul, we submitted a statement and DVDs to them with the evidence and a PEC form, and of course they miraculously kind of lose it, and then trying to put the emphasis, it's typical, wasn't it, trying to put the emphasis on me to say, well, you should have informed the court that you're bringing in video evidence. But anyway, we kind of just sort of cut a long story short, we displayed the video, obviously give it to the police officer, the defence witness, because for obvious reasons with a video link, etc. It's not technically not possible. So the magistrates viewed it, and so did the defence. The CPS, and the CPS guy then realised, shit, this is not going well. So that was good that we got one up, but it just goes to show, Graham, that they're really trying to screw us over at every opportunity.
Let me just emphasise something else to everyone out there. That shows the importance of getting your own video footage. Any video footage the police show or don't show, when they say they haven't got any, they're lying, because we all know that they've all got their cameras on. And if they say they haven't got any evidence on video, it's because what it actually shows is in your favour and not theirs. Now, you've got a situation there that they've tried to provide evidence for your prosecution, and your evidence of video evidence has again showed that you are innocent of what they are trying to say. So it's fairly obvious that they were lying.
Absolutely, and sort of coming back to that witness statement from the police officer, he also when I questioned him about how do you what right did you assume that I'm far right or right wing, and he goes, I shouldn't have made that. I should that was a mistake. Well, a mistake in the witness statement.
He said it was a mistake to put it down in writing.
Yes, but on the witness statement, there's a paragraph saying, "I shall be liable to prosecution if I have willfully stated in it anything which I know to be false or do not believe to be true." So basically, he's stitched himself up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And again, that's all in writing. There's a written statement with him making the assessment, or someone's told him that you're right wing, that you're and so in effect what we're telling people is these police officers are going geared up because you stand up for freedom and you stand up for your rights as an Englishman or Englishwoman. They are gearing up in riot gear to give you a good hiding because they're left wing, if you want, or their socialist commanders are telling them that you are the bad guys when in fact you're the good guys because you're standing up for the liberties and freedoms of everyone.
Yeah, and it's like he was clutching this prosecution. He decided that, it was clear that he weren't getting very far, so he then decided that he got 3 more further statements from 3 other police officers, but it was all from Nobby's case.
And they'd only give you them on the day. They hadn't given you them.
Absolutely.
Exactly. They didn't tell us when they told us about the witness statement from the first police officer that was in relation to Dave's case. They told us today, but they gave us a print off of it. But with these other 3, they didn't. They told us last minute. So Dave refused blankly that he wanted before they proceeded. He wanted the photocopies of them.
Yeah, and to be fair to the magistrate, he said that is fair. So then the prosecution and the court clerk then had to mess about getting these other statements. So literally, we had to sort of work on the fly a bit because they're trying to be a bit tricky.
Yeah,
so
and it's worse. And Dave, let me just say this: the reason they're being tricky, unlawfully, by the way, is because they know you're representing yourself, and because they would never get away with that with let me say one of their own in there defending you, or shouldn't get away with anything like that. So they know that they're taking liberties with you, right? And that's another thing that should never happen in our court system. Literally, that's just a disgrace what they've tried to do.
Yeah, so absolutely, 100%. So this other witness statement came in that was basically sort of really about to talk about Nobby's case.
Yeah, it was all Nobby.
But what's interesting, again, in his opening statement, do you mind if I just read it quickly? It's only it's only about a minute. Yeah, it's that on the 5th of September 2020, I was on duty and in uniform, and I was part of a. His writing's terrible.
Do you believe? No, I don't know.
As part of an operation, I can't pronounce it. Yeah. And I'm a Thames Valley police officer based in Newbury Police Station. I have held the rank of police constable for 5 years. I was part of a mutual aid operation in Dover. This was due to a left and a right wing protest that was going on. Okay, I'm just gonna fast forward.
So let me just get this right, and let me just go back to the next part of the statement that you made here, because I think that's really important to understand. All right,
yeah,
I don't think I've read this bit out. Huh?
I was going to bring that up actually. The different, but you're going to say it anyway.
Graham, just add just one little. Further interjection just before you say that, before you continue. Right, so I've highlighted that bit. Yes. So there was I'm just moving along. I was tasked with my PCU to assist other police officers in a public order situation. I was told that they were dealing with a far-right protest, and it's they're all in a van along the A20, and I saw about 40 to 50 people in the middle of the A20. So
again, they were already notified that it was a far right protest.
So sorry, mate.
But then you go on about the left and the right.
Yeah, no. So part of this statement, which we put in, I just want to read it out to you. I've just highlighted it there to everyone. But this is what it says. The defendant relies on the preamble on Article 1 and 17 of the ICCPR and further relies on ICESCR Article 1 and preamble. Preamble's just as important, right? The British arbitrarily labelled a group of 200 as far right and sent force to that group defined as English, that were predominantly standing for the principles and articles of the English Constitution, customs and statutes. The English group were clearly discriminated against. Another group, 200 on the same day and at the same time, were treated differently as British. 3 police officers in normal uniform, not in riot gear. So just listen, if you listen to the statement that Dave just read out, you can now understand that this statement and the human rights abuse was put in this case statement, yeah? And then they've suddenly produced these statements that actually backed up the case statement. So it backfired on them.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely as well. And with the additional statements they decided to throw in, it was to effectively paint a really bad picture. Yeah. Even though that case, Nigel's case, has got absolutely sod all to do with mine. They tried to. And
the point originally, you and Nigel were joined in a case, and then if you remember, I think it was me that went down there and said no. We don't want them as co-defendants.
Right.
The case has to be split. And that's what we did, because otherwise they would have used that evidence against you. And what they've tried to do is the same thing, which is basically an abuse of process.
Right.
Again, they've tried to stitch you up.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was all day long like this. You know, they're just throwing in curveballs because effectively the video evidence didn't stand up. Tracy's video countered their defence full stop. And then, of course, when I read the case statement out, I was looking at the magistrate, and they were patiently listening. Sorry, actually, let me take a step back. I got cross-examined by the prosecution as well. So they're effectively trying to paint the picture that I was deliberately trying to willfully obstruct the police, and I had intention of preventing their course of duty, and effectively to cause other disorders, you know, effectively without saying it. So effectively countered the cross-examination. I was getting a bit tongue-tied, I must admit, now and again, but sort of managed to sort of pull myself back a little bit. But there was a couple of times where I was actually giving my comments, not throwing back the question. But that's down to I'm not experienced in case management. So effectively he was trying to paint the picture that I was, that was a far right hooligan basically, and I was, that you willfully done this, and you willfully. They read out as well the actual law of.
We have got skin-headed tattoos.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yeah. Well, no, it's bald head. But thanks, Trace. So basically, they just tried to paint the picture, and I just lost my train of thought. Yeah.
It was just
basically trying to paint the picture that I was a thug, and that I willfully, so clearly, they read out the law, if you like, from their law book on willful obstruction.
But when they turned around and said you're using all these laws, and you turned around and said...
Yes. Yeah, Tracy's just brought a very good point as well, is that I was using, of course, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta, and the UN treaties. He had the actual audacity to say, you are using antiquated laws. I said, antiquated, they're in the statute book.
Antiquated, and the thing is that a lot of these people don't realise this, and people have to understand, not only are they on the statute book, they are constitutional statutes, the most powerful there are, and they can't be repealed. So it's for the English to stand up for their rights and to do that. So basically he was saying to you in court, you're using some antiquated laws, blah, 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 and you told him that's my constitution.
Yeah, basically, that's it. So it's great because even from the start of today, right, he actually said, look, if you go guilty, you can get 10% off. You probably just get a little community order, and everything will be tickety-boo. I'm not going to prosecute for a month in jail. Don't worry about it. Everything will be sweet. So I still said, fuck that. I'm going. Sorry, excuse the two orders. Yeah. I sod that. I'm going non-guilty. So from the very start, the Brits, the establishment are trying to literally to quash any visibility to the Constitution, or that's brilliant research you did with the UN treaties, which is fantastic, because that is a real headache for them. I think sort of contravening the human rights. And you're right. As soon as you bring in human rights, I think to say, oh, hang on a minute, we're going to have a potential. We've got a constitutional problem. We've got an international problem, and they don't want to have that in the local magistrates' court, do they?
No, and again, because we signed up to both of them covenants, what people don't realise, as soon as they start attacking the English for standing up for self-determination and being English, we can then make complaints. So tomorrow, we'll set out your complaint to the Human Rights Commission against the British government, and simply state what they've said there. That automatically causes them a problem. And let me just tell everyone, if you think it's bullshit, the Commission then have to report it to the United Nations that there has been a complaint against it. It's a valid complaint, right? And that this person is bringing up his constitutional rights in a British court and they are being ignored. And now we've got evidence against that. So the more you bring up your English nationality, your English freedoms, your English constitution in British courts, and the more they ignore it, the more you write to the Human Rights Commission, and they have to, by law, report that back to the UN. And then the UN come back and say, what are you doing with the English? We want to know what's going on. So it is really important, and you're the first one who's going to be able to have a stab at it tomorrow.
Brilliant. That was...
Do you know what else gets me as well? Because a lot of people, because they don't use it, well, they probably don't know of the Constitution or anything. I think these magistrate courts are always trying to get everyone to plead guilty. The first thing the Crown prosecutor said today was, you know, if you go guilty, you'll half your fine and you'll just do a bit of community service. And then again, when the woman came in, she was the clerk, she said exactly the same thing. Yeah. And also when he went on one of his other the ones that were adjourned, they said exactly the same thing to them. So I can imagine how many people that are not aware of the Constitution that end up going guilty because they don't know and they think they're doing the best thing. It's wrong.
Just think about what happened to Kimberly Jones. She went up against, on her own, she sacked her solicitor, she was stitched up by the Lord Mayor of Liverpool. She contacted me via a Scottish lady and said, can you help me? And I said, yeah, of course I can. And I went up there. By the way, it's the channel that paid for that, right? So the channel helps me to help other people. We went up there and that was an appeal. So basically, the magistrate stitched her up big time, and we see that happen. But when it got into the Crown Court, the Crown Court judge read the case statement, which was made by me, and he asked, can I ask who has written this? And she said, my Mackenzie friend. And he looked at me and said, thank you. And he spent 20 minutes reading through it, right? When he read through it, the Lord Mayor of Liverpool then come in to give evidence and said she wanted special measures, right? The judge said, and this was his words, why do you want special measures when you're in the papers every week, you're on video on YouTube doing all sorts of things in near riotous conditions, and one of the reasons you want that is because you don't want to be cross-examined from the person you are accusing. And I say that you will be cross-examined by the person you are accusing, because that's English law, right? And he said, no, I'm refusing you special measures. So then she had to be cross-examined by Kimberly, who done a wonderful job. She's never cross-examined another. She was shaking like a leaf, right? It is hard when you're in a court on your own. You've got no representation. You can't trust the British to do anything for you other than sell you down a river, which is what they've been doing. That's why she sacked her solicitor, right? And they come back with a unanimous quashed her conviction. The beauty about this is we've had an opportunity to put your rights before a magistrate. The magistrate has looked at your case, listened to the case, and come out in your favour, which is fantastic. So, again, people need to understand that this does work. We have constitutional rights. It is your human right to have those constitutional rights adhered to by the British government. They are the administrators of England, which is a non-governing, it's a non-self-governing country because of what the British are doing. So we need to stand up more, and you're a fantastic example of standing up and getting a not guilty.
Well, that was down to you and John Hurst, God rest his soul. I mean, you're legends, and the research you do is remarkable. You know, and the work you do for everybody on this channel. So, respect to you, and you know. You love your country, you love your patriots, you love your audience, and we're getting results. Yeah. And this is just onwards and upwards now. Yeah. Just one thing I'd probably like to sort of just close on is when the judgment came back with not guilty, the prosecution, who was loving wrapping himself up in his law book, just could not look us in the eye.
Yeah,
he was cocky before, not cocky, but pretty sure of himself, and he just had his head buried in his stupid little law book, and he just could not look up.
Well, that is fantastic, and just let me say this to the audience, to you, and to everyone else out there: you have a British legal professional that lost against a lay person, which is most embarrassing for them because they pulled every stroke in the book to stitch you up.
That's it.
And you won.
No, we did. And what's that down to, Trace? You got to tell them. What is it?
The Constitution
is the solution.
Well done. That's it. Absolutely agree. So, well, I'm grateful that you've took the time to ring us. Don't forget, stay in touch tomorrow. I'm working with Steve Todd's case tomorrow, and been sorting out a few other things today. So what I'm going to do, don't forget everyone, I'm actually going to be in Hyde Park this Saturday. I can't get to Dover and Hyde Park on the same day. It's almost impossible. And I don't want to let Active down because he is probably, I'm going to be honest with you, he's probably the most highly rated and respected patriot from my point of view, because he does it because he loves his country and he loves the people of this country. So, but there's a massive freedom rally there tomorrow. We are giving out English flags. We're not actually giving them out. We're swapping them. So if anyone's got if we see anyone with a British flag, a Union flag, we're saying give us that flag, take your English flag, and fly that high, because it's the English that give you all these rights, and it's the British that's took them all away. So again, thank you for taking the time to spend a bit of time on the show explaining to people. Let me tell you something, you two, it's not me that's the legend, it's you two, and especially you, Dave, for standing up against the British state, having the arsehole to do it, and not doing what these other people are doing. I'm not going to say who they are. The people who have pleaded guilty in the past are the people who put the Patriots in the shit. You didn't put the Patriots in the shit. You stood your ground and you said, no, this is my case statement. That's what I'm relying on. You was prepared to go to the Crown Court on appeal, to the High Court on appeal, and then if it went to the Supreme Court, and then even further than that, the United Nations, you could have done it, because your case statement showed every element of that, and that's what them people want to see.
Brilliant. And thanks once again. And Tracy as well has always had my back as well, and she was absolutely marvellous as well. But without her and pulling out that evidence at the last minute, I'll be bang in trouble. So
I get that as well, and I hope your ribs have improved.
Yeah, they're getting there. Still painful, but they're getting there.
Oh, that's all right then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll speak to you later, tomorrow, hopefully.
Okie dokie, take care.
Bye.
Thanks a million. Bye.
Bye.
So there you go, people. Let me get back over there so everyone can see the T-shirts. We love a good T-shirt on this phone. Let me tell you something. I am so delighted, not only with the people that helped us and created these high definition. By the way, if the person's listening who took the time to go through all the flags and put the counties' names on them, do me a favour. I know I've got them on my laptop somewhere. Would you send me the file again with them all on there, with that on there, so I can make sure that people have got them and it's easy to get. But there's the T-shirt. I love my country. I've got one on now. Look at this. Yeah. I love my country, but hate any British government. And again, you can have these made up in your county or anything you want. Have a look at that one. Vote England. Vote English. And there's an English Democrats one. Vote English. And there it is again. So just letting everyone know it's there. That's the Dog's Nuts. We love it. We love the T-shirts. And hurrah, we won again. Another success for England. So again, if you're all thinking, wow, doesn't he look nice and fit in that T-shirt? Look at these muscles. Look, I've never felt so fit. I could drop dead in 2 days' time, but I've never felt so fit on the uptake to dropping dead in 2 days' time. Right, so I've got rid of all my heart tablets, all of that medication's gone out the window. I now am on a complete regime by Steve and Todd from the gym up there. I've got my blender out there, go for little walks, etc. I've let my legs have a bit of a rest today, to be honest with you, because they were aching. Right, but I'll be out there within a couple of weeks with an alkaline system, really fit and ready. I'll be out there with Chris Thrall, the bootneck at Royal Marine. And I'll say to him, listen, son, let's go for a run. I'm a Marine now, right? And he's going to say, yeah, all right. And then run off, and about 40 miles later say, where the fuck's he gone? Right, and I'll be sitting in the pub saying, cheers, son. Right, that's it. So, I'm going to continue the show, unusually, right, only because people, I think, still want to listen to this next episode of it, and it is really important we get this out. Very important. Let me see if I can pin this back down again. Again, I did show you the Batley and Spen thing, which I'm going to show on the screen again. Let me just show this so everyone can see it. It looks like I'm getting all sorts of stuff sent to me at the moment, and I can't pick it up because I'm online. But again, you're going to see this. I'm just going to briefly show you this on there. This is what Mark Busby done. I'm sure Mark is in the chat at the moment, and he's asked me what do I think over this, give him an honest opinion. I've looked at it. I like that a lot. I don't know what the English Democrats are going to do about leafleting. They have put an email out today about funding and money, etc. and need to kick in with that and organise themselves. But we will be having someone standing in Batley and Spen, and then once we know what it is and when it's been called, we're gonna get involved with it like that. So let me go back to this and my big screen yet again, and everyone can see me. I love this T-shirt. It stands out, doesn't it? Do you think this T-shirt stands out, or do you think it's the geezer wearing it? Right, here we go. I need to show you one other thing, and what I'm going to do is bring this back over to this side. I'm going to bring that up there. Get that bit down there. See if I can throw that back over there. I know you don't know what I'm doing here, but again, I want to thank everyone for listening to the show. I want to thank everyone. Don't forget to send this out to people. Don't forget to share this, because sharing is caring. Don't forget to like it. And I am now going to go through some really important stuff here that people need to be aware of. I have sent some information to Robin Tilbrook. And again, we need now to be using the human rights laws, because we are being, without any doubts, slaughtered, basically. I don't know what that's about. I won't even look at that. But let me get into this. I'm going to show you this little part here. I'm going to send this out so everyone knows exactly what I'm talking about. People need to go and have a listen to this. And I'm going to put the thing there. This is about Twitter. And this is about someone I followed. And actually, on my other channels, I actually used to watch his videos. And I actually contacted him. And he was coming on my show, believe it or not. Dr. Shiva, MIT PhD scientist. A very clever man. Now, I'm going to display this on the screen for everybody. I'm going to hit myself as a little man again. Now, I've just put the link out to this. People really do need to watch this. I've spoken to Robin, and I think Robin needs to look at this. It's only a 7-minute bit, so I'm going to probably start playing it. I don't think we're going to get nutted off for doing this. But
Dr. Shiva up in Massachusetts. Dr. Shiva, tell us about, you're in federal court. You're winning against the oligarchs. They're in absolute shock. You're not a lawyer, are you, sir?
No, I'm not, Steve, but I'm learning enough. And what was interesting was on May 20th and 21st, which we had nearly 16 hours of hearings. So it was me against 3 of the leading lawyers from Wilmer and Hale at Twitter, 3 of the lawyers from the government of Massachusetts, and 1 lawyer from the National Association of State Election Directors. Our case, Steve, is fundamentally about that the government, this is very critical, very different than the DeSantis bill, and there's some weaknesses there, but what we've shown is that the government and Twitter work together to suppress political speech. And what happened, Steve, was...
Let's just get this right. So what they've discovered, right, and I'm going to go into more detail with this. If anyone's not aware, it started in London with the CEO of Twitter in London. So if you think about the group that is managed by Tobias Ellwood, right, who is MI6, yeah. If you think about how they are interacting, and I'm sure someone's going to put whatever the name of that group is, right? Then think about transporting that whole situation. And now, remember who's been taken down. I've been taken down on a number of occasions, and all I do is tell the truth. All I do is talk about England. All I do is talk about the Constitution. That's the first thing, right? The second is English Democrats. Whatever it is, I talk about that. And I have been targeted by the police on the streets before now, right? What we've got to do now is look at what happened to Robin. During a campaign, they took Robin's Facebook account down, right? During a campaign. Now, I don't know what Robin's done about that, but what I do know is there is actually a documentary book about this. So I'm going to keep this. But remember, it started in London. They developed it. It went to India. India police, I don't know if people are aware of this, had just busted Twitter's head office in India, took a load of stuff away and a load of computers away because Twitter has been doing something against one of the political parties there. It then moved from India to Thailand, and I want people to remember this. If you know anything about Thailand, remember this one thing. They have never, ever, as a people, been conquered by anyone, right? The Thai people are fierce, and they will fight to the death. Although they've got a bit of an oligarch over them at the moment with the king or whatever, I'm not worried about that. But what I'm saying to you is they have never, ever been conquered by another nation, right? It went from Thailand to the United States of America, and now you're seeing there's some other stuff happening in America that people have got to be aware of. But I'm going to carry on with the interview.
The judge in October 30th, he gave us a big victory because in testimony we showed that the government has a trusted Twitter partnership, a special portal that they can report on U.S. citizens when they expose violation of law by government officials. So that came out in testimony. No news media picked up on that, Steve, except you.
So the government, so if we're talking and someone's just put that in there, 77th Brigade, right? They have got access to this portal. And that's the problem, that they are controlling all of these portals and controlling people online.
So on October 30th, in testimony, a federal judge and I exposed in cross-examination that the government has a special trusted Twitter partnership to call the Twitter and tell them what to do. So there's a big illusion here that Twitter is some massive corporation that does stuff on their own. What we've shown is that the government tells Twitter what to do. So that was on October 30th, and that's when I was thrown off while I was running for political office. Let's just remember that political speech is the most protected aspect of the First Amendment.
Let me just say this again. Now, remember what he just said. The government tells Twitter what to do. So the British, tell Twitter, Facebook and others what to do. So when you see people like me taken down off of Twitter for 3 books, yeah, that tells the real history and the truth about slavery and white slavery, because it goes against their socialist narrative, right? I was then banned, 12,500 followers on Twitter, right? Just to let you know, right? Here it comes.
And they violated that. And they admitted that in testimony. So that was on October 30th. And the judge gave me all the terms of the preliminary injunction, which was to tell the government, stop calling Twitter. If you have any issues, you will go on Twitter and rebut him. Then, after I was put on Twitter on November 4th, Steve, I kept tweeting away. On February 1st, I had a video lecture where I displayed again the same 4 email screenshots that got me thrown off on October 30th, which exposed courtroom-proof evidence that the government had violated federal law when they deleted ballot images. That's why I got thrown off on the 30th. And on February 1st, right when I shared that same thing, I got thrown off again. So I went back into federal court on February 4th with another injunction. The judge responded back and he said, before I can give you complete relief, I also want you to bring Twitter. What's unique about our case, Steve, we didn't go after Twitter. We went after the government, state. And what we showed was that there was state action involved. So on May 20th and 21st, the judge he brought everyone in, Twitter, myself, the government, and the National Association of State Election Directors, which was also the vehicle they used. The night before the hearing, Steve, what I was trying to figure out is, what is this trusted Twitter partnership? There's nothing written about it. And lo and behold, Steve, I got very lucky and I found this playbook called the Election Influence Operations Playbook. Here they are.
Just to let you all know, after this video, I'm going to bring them up because I've downloaded them and downloaded some other stuff as well. And hopefully, I'll be able to pass that on to Robin and we'll be looking to see if we can do anything to take the British government to court for controlling social media. Now, this is fascism, right? This is what you describe as fascism leaning into communism.
And where did I find this? I found this on a server because I'd seen an email interaction between the head of Twitter in London talking about that they had built a trusted Twitter partnership, the Partner Support Portal. What I was trying to figure out is, what is this trusted?
Right, hang on a minute. I've reversed it because I want you to hear what he said again.
Twitter partnership. There's nothing written about it. And lo and behold, Steve, I got very lucky and I found this playbook called the Election Influence Operations Playbook. Here they are. And where did I find this? I found this on a server because I'd seen an email interaction between the head of Twitter in London talking about that they had built a trusted Twitter partnership, the Partner Support Portal. Very anodyne term, banal term, PSP, that was deployed in England so the parliamentary security forces could use that portal to report on citizens. Then it was deployed in India. Then it was deployed in Taiwan and brought here on September 20th. Or in the fall, April 20th. The architects of this document, Steve, are all the defendants. Twitter Legal's on it, the government of Massachusetts state election director, and this woman, Amy Cohen of NASID. So when I brought this up, the judge said, I want you to submit that as evidence. That was on the 20th. On the 21st, the judge comes in. He had stayed awake the early morning reading it, and he started off the 21st hearing, and he said, this case will more than likely be taught in every law school as an exemplar on constitutional law. Then the judge said, you brought this far, and he goes, I want it also, are you open to also having a constitutional lawyer help you? So he's appointed a constitutional lawyer, unprecedented, and the court will fund expenses of it, Steve. So where I am right now is that everyone has talked this thing about Twitter acts as its own. What our case has shown, and it's history making, is because we've shown that we have lost all political speech in this country, because this manual is a standard operating procedure manual of how the state can suppress the speech of American citizens.
Now, just listen to this. This just ain't American citizens, right? This is the British doing it against the English, and we've got a signed-up human rights charter that gives us the right to self-determination, and anyone who mentions it is shut down by the British, right? Anyone who hoists the English flag is shut down by the British, and the people who count the votes, right? That's why you need to overwhelm them with voting for the English. When you see the English flag, vote for it, because that's the only thing that will give you back your freedom and your liberty.
Particularly political speech. Steve, in this document, it's like out of the CIA. They brand you as an influence operator. Step one. Once they brand you as an influence operator, they have severity levels, and then they have action steps and how they monitor you. So I was branded. It's step-by-step manual, Steve. How to suppress a speech politically of those who dissent against the government. In particular, Steve, there is a bullet in there which says one feature of an influence operator, get this, is someone who exposes corruption of a state election official, which is exactly what I was doing, Steve. So I was targeted.
Wow.
It's freaking amazing, man. So this is beyond...
Dr. Shiva,
Yeah.
Dr. Shiva, how can people follow you? Give us your Twitter. How do people assist you? This audience wants to know how they can help, what they have to do. Give us your contact points, because this is going to be one of the most important cases out there, and you're one man alone right now. So tell this army how they can support you.
Everyone should go to winbackfreedom.com. Winbackfreedom.com. We put all the court documents there. Winbackfreedom.com. You can contribute. I'd rather have 5 million people contributing $1, Steve. And whatever people want to contribute, this is the case of the century, because we're showing that we have lost our freedom in this country, that government, and this is done out of the Belfer Institute at Harvard. All of these guys got together, a bunch of elites, and they've created an infrastructure, a program that directly gives them access to Twitter. So Twitter is no longer a private company. That's a problem with the DeSantis bill. They're a state actor. And that's what this lawsuit has been exposed.
Okay, winbackfreedom.com. Dr. Shiva, thank you. We're going to have you back on. We'll have everybody pile into that. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Shiva.
Thank you.
One man alone fighting the apparatus. Something's going.
Right, so don't forget, on this screen it says there is some big illusion that Twitter is this.
We basically went into court saying the secretary.
Again, I'm going to play this one to you as well. There is some big illusion that Twitter is this massive corporation that does stuff on their own. Shiva told War Room Tuesday, what we've shown is that the government tells them what to do. This is fascism, right? Here we go. I'm going to show you this clip as well.
Secretary of State contacted Twitter. That means Twitter takes orders from the government. This is what we showed. Twitter takes orders from the government.
That's true, and that's 100%.
Yes, it came out in 3 hours in testimony.
Jack Dorsey
took orders from the Secretary of State of Massachusetts. This is what happens in countries like China. The government tells the corporations what to do. And in the United States, what came out in our 3 hours of testimony, where I represented myself.
Right.
So what came out was we have the Secretary of State's, the election director, and the communications officer saying they contacted Twitter to shut me down.
Is that still open? Is that still open?
Not only is it open, the judge gave me the restraining order, and the case is open. It wasn't Twitter acted alone. We found the government contacting Twitter. Now, this is a fundamental violation of the First Amendment. Government speech cannot supersede political speech. So basically, this is what happens in third world countries, right? You have laws, but nothing's followed.
Right.
And if that's where we've gotten into, it's a serious problem for this country.
We all know.
Now, just think about what he just said. We have laws, but nothing's followed. Think about what's going on now with Stephen Todd and his case that he's got ongoing at the moment, and another one in July, right? Just think about what they're doing. We have constitutional laws that protect him as an individual, and that the British judge and the British magistrates involved with that case have completely and utterly ignored the English Constitution, which is protected as a human right for every Englishman in this country.
The social media, what they've done, from Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey, these platforms, the power they have along with the mainstream media. You know, what did they do when they took over? You talk about third world countries. In Nazi Germany, they took over, you know, all your, in any country like that, they'll take over your communication.
We basically...
Not only do they take over your communications, they take over the legal system. That's exactly what they've done in this nation. And people need to understand what is going on with that. So at the moment, what I'm going to do, is show you the other side of that. So don't forget, you have got, hopefully I can put it on their screen, and you're going to see it on there. So there it is on the screen, is what we're talking about there. I am going to copy and paste that. That is what GeoDan out there is putting on in there. She's also a mod, and she's also the lady that, and by the way, she's absolutely gorgeous, right? She's got a lovely accent as well. You thought I was going to say something else then to begin with, didn't you? I wouldn't know. I've never seen it. Let me just say this to you. This is the type of research that we're looking for, right? This lady has gone right through everything. She's a great researcher. Comes back and says, rings me up and says, you really do need to see this, Graham. And then I looked at it and thought, wow, right? So it's not just that, though, people. I've also got the connections with India. I'm speaking to someone in India, personally in India. They've said to me, everything that's going on, that's being told that we got, you know, people floating down a river. He said, we've always had people floating down the rivers. He said, to 1.6 billion people live here. You think people ain't going to float down a river, right? But what he also said was, that in the areas, the particular areas, a certain medication was not given out in them areas, and they've got a COVID problem there, right? But what he's saying is they've now got it under control because they're giving out a certain medication. That's really serious. Now, they're winbackfreedom.com, right? But you've got to start looking at us and what we're trying to do, and we need to promote the channel as much as possible. They've already took this channel down in technically 3 times, right? All I talk about is England, the Constitution of England, and the rights of an Englishman and an Englishwoman, right? Farage, for some reason, is still involved with these people out there. Fucked if I know why. He's a Benedict Arnold. He doesn't give a shit about the English. All he cares about is his British puppet masters, right? And someone out there needs to suss this out. It's like they took £17 million off of the people in this country and absolutely screwed us. When it come to an election, they screwed us, right? So we need to take back control of England. Now, there it is on your screen. You're now seeing it, right? I'm now going to go back to another element because I think you all need to see what he's talking about here. What page am I at? 5 of 58, and I'm going to go up to the top so you can all see what I'm looking at. Let's start on the first one. No, let's look at the first one. And then I'm going to bring it up and show you exactly what it is on the screen, right? And then you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. This isn't BS, people. This is absolutely right. What I'm going to do, and I've downloaded all this, is show you what it says on the screen. Now, what you should have been seeing is what he was waving at the screen. He had it all bookmarked. A judge has read through it, and the judge has basically turned around and said to everyone, this is going to be the most important thing in X amount of years, right? So that's part 2. There's part 1 as well. What I'm going to do is go down to, I think, page 5, or this is page 2. In this guide, we advocate a 4-stage approach to counter IO. What does IO mean? Influence operators, right? And then you get labelled as that. I've been labelled as that. Again, the CIA, etc. In that, this is the type of thing the CIA, MI6, MI5 do in relation to anyone who counters the government narrative. It's all in these 2 books. It isn't bullshit, people. There's the books. That's what he's just shown you. And I've just downloaded them from the same server that he downloaded them from. The Election Influence Operations Playbook for state and local election officials. But this is what we're talking about, the 77th Brigade and what they're doing. And this is them attacking our rights online. So, when people ask me, and there is something else I've got to go through for someone, about should we have a written constitution, the answer is no. We don't need a written constitution. We've got a very good constitution. The only reason the Americans have got a written constitution is because they was only formed less than 250 years ago, and they took the English constitution and parts of it, put it into a written constitution. We've got a much greater constitution. We've got common law, what's known as common law constitutional statutes. There are, in effect, I think 15 of them in total. We have a very advanced constitution. We are not Roman law. We're a common law jurisdiction. And these are not laws that can be abrogated in them terms. So our constitutional rights are there. You've just got to stand up for them, and you've got to start telling the British, we ain't having this no more, right? And so when you talk about the Freedom Alliance Party, they've got to understand our constitution. If they don't understand our constitution, you shouldn't be fucking standing. That's my take on a politician, right? If you had me as a politician in the Houses of Parliament, I can tell you now, I'd be standing up with this T-shirt on, telling people, if you try and put a bill through this Parliament, or any Parliament that I am elected to serve in, you will not get past me as a gatekeeper of the constitutional rights of the people of England. That's an end subject. Let me tell you something, and I would fight it tooth and nail. There are lots of things that these people are doing wrong, right? And they are doing it to take your rights away. You are now seeing the culmination of what the British are doing, because they have took every single fucking right that the English ever give you, right? And someone needs to stand up and actually tell these British where to get off. And once we have told them where to get off, England as a nation will rise again from the ashes of socialism and be the little brother to the United States of America. England and the USA are literally wed with the blood of freedom. And people need to understand that the only people that dislike the fucking Americans are the British. Not the English, not the Scots, not the Welsh, not the fucking Irish. So there you see it, people. There's one of 67 relevance to the bits that I've put in there. If you went through this document, you would see it. There's a Twitter references. It's full of Twitter references. It's full of Facebook references. It's full of social media references. And what they're doing is not only using the mainstream media against us, they're also using social media against us. That is why you're seeing platforms like mine taken down again and again and again. Because the British are terrified of the English riding up and saying, no more, we've got rights, it's our birthright, fuck off. That should be said by every single person in this country. There's 32.4 million of us that signed us a census and said we was English only national identity. It's about time England got its parliament back. Take back your rights. And that's the way you do it. Let me tell you something, people. This weekend, I'm going to be in London. I need at least 10 people there to hold our banners of the Magna Carta and the Bill of Rights, Coronation Oath Act, all of that, well, not all of them, but at least 6 of our constitutional statutes on nice banners. You can walk about with them, and we can stand there and say, we're English, we want independence, we want our freedoms and rights back, and you are the British establishment, you are the state police, and we are telling you, if you attack us, you are doing a human rights abuse. It's as simple as that, right? There you go. I've said it, I mean it, and the other thing I will say to you, all of you out there now listening to this show, I am not some fucking crank on the internet. I understand our constitution, I understand how fantastic it is, right? It is so fantastic, it's been adopted by most people in the world. It is so fantastic that the Magna Carta is seen as the greatest human rights charter of its time in 1215. Who created that? I'll tell you who created that, shall I? The English. It wasn't fucking British, because the British didn't fucking exist. And here, people, just to let you see one other thing. Now, people need to understand this. I don't slag off the Scots, right? Apart from the fact they wear kilts, right? In my view, that's a skirt. Love it or like it. I love women in tartan. I've got to tell you something, right? So, and I'm not talking about me fetishes. there is another document, right? This is nothing to do with England. I would never dream of claiming this. And it is the Declaration of Arbroath. Well, in 2020, it was the 700th anniversary. So what you've got to look at is in 1320, that was signed up. What was it? You go and have a read of it, right? It's the equivalent of the Magna Carta, but actually it's not. It's very similar, but it's not the equivalent. I'll tell you for why. Because they're actually asking in this document for permission to be independent. And they're asking the Pope, right? Fuck the Pope, right? The English said, fuck the Pope. And they also said at one time, fuck the King, right? Because Cromwell's the one who lopped his fucking head off. We was a republic, right? And then what happened? We flooded the country with the wrong type of people. I'm not going to say any more, but we did. Right? Now it's time for the English to stand up, take back their nation. Let's take back the steel industry. Let's take back the coal industry. Let's take back our shipbuilding industry. Let's give jobs to our future generations. Let's make them skilled again. Let's give them the trades that they deserve. The covenant that was in place for tradesmen and apprentices for 300 years. Who took it away? Tony fucking Blair. And did the Tories give it back? No, they fucking never. Why? Because they want you skint. They want you without a fucking penny, without a fucking dollar, because you can't fight back. That is the British all over. And what you're seeing is exactly that. So without going into too much detail, I will say this. Every single person out there, if we're going up there on Saturday, I'm going to be on my best behaviour. There it is, right? I love my country, but I hate the British government. There it is. There's the T-shirts. Fantastic. And that's exactly what you should be doing. You should be being proud of your own nation. And my nation is England, right? Right. And let me just correct something else that a couple of people have said to me in the past, right? That we are one nation. We already have a unified crown. Yes, that's right, in 1603, right? But the Acts of Union were the political union of the two nations, and the Acts of Union are now in bad faith. They should be made void, not repealed. And then once that happens, then we tear up the United Nations. We'll go back on the Committee of the United Nations on the Security Council. Exactly the same as what happened with Russia when they fucked off the USSR, right? Which was British installed in the first place. The EU is nothing more than a political union trying to destroy the individual countries of the European Union. That's exactly what they're doing. Let me tell you something, there's only 27 countries in the European Union. One of them fucking left, supposedly, right? But let me tell you something now. If you want to take back this country, you need to support us, you need to get this video out there, and we need to take back control of this nation for our future generations. Because we was handed those English rights by our ancestors that fought and fucking died for them. That's it. And I love my audience, and I do hope that you don't mind me ranting in that way. And yes, there is absolutely nothing wrong with my art. So again, I am grateful to all of you for listening tonight. I've more or less finished the articles that I wanted to look at. I'm now going to be doing a lot of reading because I want to read through this shit and see what exactly it is they're doing to us. We know that the British media have got complete control. And I mean, I'm not just talking about the BBC. I'm talking about Sky News. All of them have all been infiltrated. Our courts have been infiltrated by these socialist, fascist bastards, right? And let me tell you something, I am not a fucking socialist. I will never be a socialist. Even if I died fucking potless, I would still say I believe in capitalism. And it's my fault if I don't earn a pound note in my lifetime. But what I will say is, if you socialist bastards weren't nicking all our fucking money off us, yeah, and paying out for all this shit that we don't want, yeah, then maybe we would be successful again. Let me tell you something, you're the people that make you can make it your vote count. Vote English. End of. Take the country back. And I am not far right, I am just not far wrong. And I hope everybody out there understands that. Freedom Alliance, listen to the English. That's all I'm saying to you. Listen to the English. Freedom Alliance you set up because of the rights and freedoms that were taken off of you. Remember who took them off you. The fucking British. That's it. Be lucky. Don't forget what I believe in. The Constitution is the solution. Don't forget, people. And I want you to remember this clearly. It does work. And all you got to do is stand up. And never, never surrender.